Okay, so we have a new email address again. I'm going to copy this one, and over here I'm going to use it. So we're going to use the same password that we created over here, and I'm a robot, bicycles, cars, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Hello.
Yes, Musa.
He said the capture was the one that failed. I think we just need to go back there and refresh that capture to get a new one. Yeah, you are going to log in with the same email and information. It's going to be on the database already. I don't think it's going to go through.
Okay. Let's change this one. It's not getting changed. Yeah. So let's use this one with the password. I'm a robot and register. So the mail has been sent. Let's check the mail over here. What do we have? Activation link. So we're gonna click on this one, and the account has been activated. So what we're gonna do? We're gonna use to log in on that specific domain. So I'm gonna copy the email ID, go back, and let's set the password again over here, and capital S with the N, capital N with it. 5 times. Yeah. Eight J I K. Yes, this works. So let's log in to our Maltego and let's get the information about the persons. So in the following, we added 4 application servers, 153 transformation, 15 entries, 2 transfer sets, 1 icon, and 8 machines. Improves and errors, privacy, yes. Ready. Open graph, yes. So this is the Maltego. You can see this is a proper interface of a Maltego, which is used for information gathering, and this is also used for social engineering. So I acknowledge. Yes. So we have limited access over here. So you can see we can use the infrastructure, we can use the group, and we can use the event. So you can use it for name, NSC for name server, MX server for mail servers, net blocks, range of IP address, versions, URLs. So there are many things that we can use it for information gathering part. For example, we can use it for person information gather or image information gather. So over here you can see view, we can see some tabs. Over here we're going to go to the machine tabs, and on the machine tab we can see there's a tab called run machine. So I'm going to open this one, and when I choose the run machine I can see some application or some options available. So for example, this company stacker, this machine will try to get all email address of at a domain. So we can use company stacker. So let's give in the domain name. So over here, we are not going to use any of the websites. So I'm going to use my own website, which is my craw.in. So I'm going to copy the domain and I'm going to paste it over here with the URL. So finish. Note the result within the machine. We have restricted 12 entries because this is a community edition. We have some limited rights, and you can see for demo use only. So it's going to enumerate all the email address of the website. So it's going to visit the website, and over here we can see it's running. Okay, so it's completed. It's fine. You can see over here one by one each domain used. You can try to look all the things one by one. Search engines. So this was a restricted. This was an application which has we don't have activated version, so that's why we don't have to see this one. So we can run different one. For example, I'm going to use URL network domain and information. Let's try with this one. Finish. So it's going to try all the things one by one. See. So it's going to show us all the information related to process plus the name IP address, the location, the IP, the net name, the Cloudflare. We can see each and everything. The name server, which is DNS Cloudflare, and gathered information. NetSci account holding. You can see over here the location of San Francisco. So you can get the information about the domain name that we can use it for any of the part. And it will provide us a graphical unit. See this one, just like this. And over here you can see website, AS, persons, URL, they have given all the things. The name server, which is gathered. Email address, nog at the top, URL, the IPv4, the relationship, you can see this one. We can use it for information gathering of a person also. For example, this one, person email address. Tries to obtain someone's email address and see where is it. So I can write any of the name, for example, Lakshmi Kant Mishra. So it's asking me which domain should I look for the email address. So I will say space because none, space none. Check all the domain names. So over here we have some restrictions, so that's why it's gonna give us a limited email address. For example, you can see only 3. lmishra.gmail.com, lakshmikantmishra@gmail.com, or lakshmikant.mishra. So when you are using an activated version of Multigo, it will give you around hundreds of entries or thousands of entries in a single row. But this one is a demo version. You can see the demo version use only. So in the real life scenario, Multigo is one of the best tools for information gathering of the person or the name servers. You can try together any of this thing. For example, if I'm using the mail address, you can simply drag and drop over here. You can open this one, info@repetitiva. You can add attachment, the file names you want to extract, or you can simply give the information. So there are many ways that you can use for see all transfer. You can use it for project determine the DNS name, domain names, the email address. You can use it in many ways. But over here, info@potato.com, you have to write the email address or the website craw.com. Domain information. Let's try with the email information. So over here, you can see it's going to try to enumerate the email address of the craw.in running. Because of the limited access we have, we can only access 12. We can use it for only for 12 access, 12 entries in a day. IP address within the properties. There are many things where we can use in Multigo. If you have the paid version of Multigo, you can try to enumerate or you can get the email address that you're looking for. So this was a part of your Multigo. In this scenario, there are lots of other tools. For example, we can use a tool. You can save or you can use it for later time. You can do lots of things. You can gather the phone number of a person. All you have to give the phone number, country, city code, area code, plus the last digit. It will gather the information of the person, which phone number is related to. So there are many ways that you can use it. So this was a part of your Multigo. There are lots of other things you can try. Let's go further. Discard all. So the next tool that we're gonna use is a tool on the social on the Kali Linux, and that tool is known as social engineering tool. So yes. So over here on the screen we can see social engineering toolkit, which is known as SET toolkit. Most of the hackers, most of the pen testers, they use SET toolkit for social engineering techniques, or you can say phishing technique, phishing attack. So in this scenario, we're gonna select any of the one. For example, we can update or set configuration, just putting the question, updating. Fifth one to update the social engineering toolkit. But over here, we're gonna use the first one, social engineering toolkit attack. So over here, we can see we have some tabs. For example, spear phishing attack, website attack vector, infectious media generator, create a payload and a listener, which will work like your malware and threats we have done before. Arduino based attack, wireless access point attack, QR code PowerShell attack. But we're gonna use the second one, which is your website attack vector. We're gonna use it for creating a phishing page, a fake website. So in this scenario, we can see they have given some application or some tabs over here. We can use Java applets attack. We can use Metasploit browser exploit, credential harvester, tabbing, web jacking attack, multi attack, and HTTP attack. But we're gonna use the credential harvester. Why? Because we're gonna send a link to the victim, and there would be a login form with a username and password. So see this one. The credential harvester method will utilize the web cloning of a website that has a username and password field. So we need a proper login form which contains the two parameters, the username parameter and the password parameter, and harvest all the information posted on the website. So what we're gonna do, we can try the second one, the third one. So So now they're gonna ask me about the first one, which is your website templates or site cloner. The first method will allow set to import a list of predefined web application that is can utilize within that app. So we have some already predefined templates. You can say phishing websites. The second method will complete clone a website of the user choosing and allow to utilize that app. So we're gonna use the second one, I guess. We need to clone the site. So I'm gonna use the second one. So now they're gonna ask me about IP address of the post back in the harvest tagging. So before putting an IP address, read the importance. The way that this works is by cloning a site and looking for the field to rewrite. Field means the parameter values, the username and password. If the post field are not usually method for posting forms, this can put fail. If it is done, you can also have to save the HTML to read the following tabs. So you have to make a proper HTML format. But the most important thing is the IP address. If you are using an external IP address, which is your port forwarding, you need to place the external IP address below, not your net address. Additionally, if you don't know the basic networking concept, you have to use a private IP address. A private IP address, which is your this one. So you will need to do a port forwarding. Yes, this is the main objective. Port forwarding to use your NAT IP address from an external IP address. A browser doesn't know how to communicate with the private IP address. So if you don't specify an external IP address, it's you're using this form for external perspectives. It will not work. This is not a set solution. So if I'm putting my private IP address, it means it can be only work in the local area network. So we're gonna copy the IP address and we're gonna paste it over here because it will create a post back. Enter the URL to clone. So we're gonna choose a website which has two parameters, a username and password parameter. So let's use Netflix. Okay, we have a login from. So over here we can see Netflix with the username and password parameter, and we're gonna copy the URL. So we're gonna paste the URL over here and hit enter. You need to copy a where www directories. We don't need that one. So the website has binded to my local IP address, which is 192.168.0.6. But think about it. When you are sending an IP address to the victim machine or any of the victim, you have to specify a proper URL. You don't give a proper IP address to a victim. For that case, we're going to use for URL manipulation, and we can say URL change. For that case, I'm going to use Bitly. Bitly is a website where you can customize your URL or shorten your URL. So I'm going to use this one, and over here I'm going to paste the IP address, and I'm going to use Bitly to change the IP address in a proper URL. So you can see the IP hasn't changed to a URL like this. Just copy the URL, and you can send this URL to any of the victim site. So in this case, I'm gonna send this URL to the victim, for example, my own website. So you can see there is no difference between a genuine one and the local one. But there is one difference, that is the URL. And over here I can see when I simply enter the URL, it convert that one in the normal way. But there are many ways that you can use it for. Most of the attacker, they use their Gmail address and convert the URL they want. There is many techniques. For example, when a victim, most of the victim, they doesn't see this one. They simply focus on the URL which is present. So they think there's a domain IP is running over there. They are not aware about the phishing attacks. So what they basically do, they simply put their IP, their any of the phone numbers. Craw Sec, and the sign-in part. So you can see the logs over here with the credential passwords. When the attacker simply joined or visited their website. You can use this technique for the WAN network also, and this is more effective. You can customize your own phishing pages and you can run in your local server. There are many ways that you can try. But the most important part that there are techniques that should be learned. Social engineering attacks are basically to convince the people, or most of the people, they simply use phone calls, fake phone calls to simply gain information. Sir, I'm calling from your bank. This is an issue account regarding. So in this scenario, you should be aware about the things that could be lead to an attack. So the most of the cases, social engineering or some of the tools are most important part. So you can try to manipulate or simply you can try different kinds of things. And if you look for the tools in the GitHub, there are lots of tools. You can write phishing tools list. And I never heard about the InfoSec IQ. GoFish. GoFish is one of the best tools for phishing. Lucy, simple phishing toolkit. Kingfisher, Speedfish, social engineering toolkit that we use right now. The most important part is to know about each other. GoFish as open source phishing platform. GoFish get to its, and this is more effective. Lucy, simple SP toolkit. This is also a phishing attack. There are many websites that you can use it for phishing. Kingfisher. And the last and the least, social engineering. So you can try all the things one by one, but the most important part of social engineering is to get awareness about the attack. Awareness is the important part. See, most of the people, they try to gather information. They try the first method, information gathering. In this scenario, what they look for? They look for social networking sites, dumpster driving, people search website, other resources, source of information, finding, full name, address, contact, account information, birth information, utility bills of a person. Fake, for fake identification proof, create identification proof like driving license, company identity card, fake ID cards, other fake IDs will like get fake license card, get ID from company, create fake ID cards, other username of information. If you talk about the fraud, target could be banks, shopping centers, company, other frauds. Credit card using fake IDs, spending money, unauthorized access, or use ID for future frauds. It's all about the activities of human mind. Once you get an ID from authorized a user, such as driving license centers, national ID card centers, organization or administrative department, you can take advantages of it. It is not easy. You will need utility bills to prove your ID. You have provided all the required parameters to prove yourself. Once you pass this checkpoint, you will get the access of the IDs by impersonating. That's why most of the people, when you're performing a social engineering, you should know about the countermeasures. And what are the countermeasures? Security of sensitive resources, physical security, monitoring of each and every activity, rational decrease and controlled accesses and least privileges, logging and privacy, strong policies, training, audit, biometric authentication, awareness against the social engineering. These are the things should be needed in a proper mind up. Social engineering attack can be mitigated by several methods. Privacy in the corporate environment is necessary to mitigate shoulder surfing and dumpster driving threats. Configuring strong passwords, securing password, keeping them secret will protect against social engineering. Social networking is also a risk of information leakage. Social engineering is also becoming an important platform for organization to use. Keep monitoring social engineering platform, logging, training, awareness, audit, and there is more effective things. That's why we have to make a proper. This is a case study where they simply gonna use the social engineering toolkit. See that we already have used. Type website attack vector. Third, credential harvester attack method. They have given all the things one by one. So you can try to manipulate or you can use your own things. So this was all about your social engineering attack and how can we secure our organization.